Hold this. I got you. Go ahead. Lock out on this. Oh, he locked out on him like that?
Suge Knight recently said he used to be a superstar and now he's just a no-limit soldier. What do you say to that?
And he used to be a CEO, now he's just an inmate.
Constantly getting in trouble and never gonna come to prison.
The federal investigators have uncovered shocking new evidence in their investigation of Tupac's tragic death, and it points to something absolutely mind-blowing. Snoop Dogg allegedly orchestrated Tupac's demise during the explosive East Coast-West Coast rivalry. But wait, it gets even more intense. Suge Knight himself has come forward in a jaw-dropping interview with Art of Dialogue, spilling all the tea about what really went down before Pac's death. According to Suge, Snoop was acting incredibly suspicious in those final days. The real shocker? Snoop was supposedly playing both sides of the fence, secretly plotting with Diddy and Biggie. This betrayal made Tupac absolutely furious. So furious that they nearly came to blows when they crossed paths in public. And here's the most suspicious part of all. When Tupac was ultimately shot and killed, Snoop was mysteriously nowhere to be found. Now, we all know Suge loves stirring up drama, but could he actually be onto something explosive here? Did jealousy drive Snoop to conspire with Diddy to eliminate Tupac?
I'm not even going to go there and get on Snoop's situation. Because everybody know how tight him and Puffy is. Everybody know he's going to lie and say what he's going to say. But nothing happened. And like I said, Pac up there had an understanding of where he's going to have it.
Let's dive deep into this scandalous story. The federal investigation into Tupac's death has taken an absolutely shocking turn, uncovering devastating new details that completely change everything we thought we knew. Initially, everyone believed Keffe D's version of events was the gospel truth. According to his story, Diddy had promised him a staggering $1 million to take out both Tupac and Suge Knight. But here's the twist. That money never actually made it to Keffe D. Instead, it supposedly ended up in the hands of someone named Eric Von Zip, who allegedly took off with the cash and used it to open a nightclub.
In the book, you said the third day after getting back from Vegas, you guys met up with Zip in L.A.
At Wingstop.
At Wingstop.
Yeah. Not Wingstop, but Hot Wings. L.A. Hot Wings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess you said that Puffy called and said, "Was that us?" And you didn't say nothing.
I didn't say nothing. Yeah, you're right.
There's also, you go into the book, that apparently there was supposed to be $1 million that Zip was supposed to bring back, but he ended up keeping the money and buying a nightclub with it.
That's what the FBI said.
FBI said that.
Yeah.
You guys never got any money?
Never.
For anything?
Nothing. Not even a pair of Sean John drawers. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. It seemed like Puff do that though. He seemed like every time some bad shit go around here, it look like it's some on the grass. He don't step around that shit. He get away from that bullshit.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you talked about how you made a crucial mistake by having a big meeting in the neighborhood.
Yeah, it wasn't in the neighborhood. It was at a park outside of the neighborhood.
Okay, in Cerritos.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was the mistake that you made?
I said I was just going to get some bread from Puff to get us some guns because they kept on raiding our houses, taking our guns.
The plot thickens even further. Keffe D made the stunning confession that while he wasn't the actual trigger man, he was the one who provided the weapon and made contact with the person who carried out the deadly deed. He's been behind bars since September 2023, but now the feds are exploring an entirely different angle that's absolutely earth-shattering, and it centers around none other than Snoop Dogg. Let me take you back to the beginning of this twisted tale. Snoop joined Suge Knight's Death Row Records back in '91 after Dr. Dre discovered his incredible talent. Those were incredibly tense times with the East Coast-West Coast rivalry at its boiling point. Every rapper had to choose a side, especially if they were connected to the major players like Tupac, Suge Knight, Diddy, and Biggie. But Snoop, he developed this fascinating habit of trying to play both sides of the fence. It allegedly started as self-preservation, but according to insiders, it quickly evolved into something far more sinister, betraying his Death Row Records family and allegedly plotting against them. The shocking revelation came when Reggie Wright exposed how Snoop supposedly turned informant, telling federal authorities that Suge was somehow involved in Tupac's death.
If you can you give me the backstory where Tupac and Nas had that run-in and how Snoop got on the radio and made some comments that got Tupac mad?
All right, look. We going to New York. It's the MTV Awards. And, you know, I believe in doing everything big. At that point, once Tupac became to be a part of Death Row, the name was changed from Death Row to Untouchable Death Row, if you guys remember. So I ordered the plane. We go to New York. We go to the awards. With the awards, we having a good time. There's a lot of tension there. Pac feeling a certain kind of way because, you know, he felt that the people in New York crossed him. And I had to explain to him, every person in New York is not a bad person. And some of the people who crossed you is weirdos. It's time for everything. You can't hit the whole New York. He was ready to be a Tupac dude from the Fugees. We was all there. We shut that down, and we went over to the after party. The after party, Pac seen Nas, and Pac went up on Nas at about 100. And him and Nas started conversating. Anybody that know Pac is on gold status. That's all. Pac is gonna be either or. He gonna go, get it in, or he gonna be a gentleman and be respectful.
Death Row Records faced absolutely devastating times in the mid to late 90s. The tragic loss of Tupac in September 1996 was just the beginning. The very next month, Suge Knight found himself behind bars for violating probation, all stemming from that explosive incident on September 7, 1996, when Suge's Death Row entourage, including Tupac, got into that violent confrontation with Orlando Anderson, a known Crips member. During this chaos, Suge desperately counted on Snoop to prove his loyalty by keeping Death Row's flag flying while he was locked up. But in a shocking twist, Snoop decided he wanted nothing to do with that life anymore. In his own words, "The Dogfather was the rebirth of me. I'm not going to glorify all the negativity that Death Row wanted me to. I'm going to bring a positive side of music." But here's where it gets truly scandalous. Apparently, Snoop's idea of bringing positivity meant acting as a double agent, allegedly betraying anyone and everyone to save his own skin.
You might hear them getting caught with a gun, stab somebody, do those type of crimes. They're not gonna come to prison. One of the reasons that
Like Snoop.
well, Snoop would never come. I mean, Snoop was on, you know, we beat a trial for him, but then he was on probation. Then he got caught with 2 ounces of marijuana. Then he got caught with guns. And each time it's nothing. They're not gonna violate him because for the street guys know what I'm talking about. There's no puzzle. I mean, if you get a guy that constantly getting in trouble and never gonna come to prison, that's because he's an informant. He's a rat, a snitch.
Yeah.
You know, and they're more important to the police on the streets than in here because they let them know what's going on.
The first major betrayal came when Snoop made the shocking move to Master P's No Limit Records. He tried to justify it by claiming he was working against the devil. And through divine intervention, Master P and Priority Records offered him a deal he couldn't refuse. With all this betrayal and double agent behavior swirling around, it's no wonder that explosive rumors started circulating that Snoop had set Tupac up for his tragic end. But the drama doesn't stop there. Baby Suge Knight has been absolutely relentless in speaking out about this. In a riveting interview with Chris Cuomo, Suge dropped an absolutely shocking bombshell. Apparently, numerous rappers, including Snoop Dogg, knew about all the horrific things Diddy was allegedly doing to young men and women in the industry, yet remained completely silent.
I look at real plain and simple. Ain't no whistleblower. Facts is there. But right now, I don't care if it's T.I., I don't care if it's Rick Ross, I don't care if it's Jay, I don't care if it's Snoop, I don't care if it's Game, I don't care if it's Dre. Nobody's stepping up on the fact that you know what's going on.
Nobody's defending him.
Hold on to your seats because Suge was just getting started with exposing Snoop. During an explosive episode of his podcast, Collect Call with Suge Knight, Suge pointed an accusatory finger directly at Snoop, suggesting he played a much bigger role in Tupac's murder than anyone realized. According to Suge's explosive revelations, Snoop has some serious explaining to do, especially about Tupac's final days. Suge revealed the shocking truth about the intense tension between Snoop and Pac right before the tragedy. Apparently, Pac had discovered Snoop's two-faced game. Even more suspicious, Suge pointed out how unusually quiet Snoop became after Pac's death, which seemed incredibly odd for someone who claimed to be Pac's friend. The bombshell suggestion? Snoop might have had insider knowledge about the impending tragedy because he was pulling strings from behind the scenes. Suge dropped another bombshell. He wants to have a serious sit-down with Snoop because they've got some major unfinished business to deal with. But that's not all. Suge went on to expose how Snoop betrayed him despite everything he'd done for him. Can you believe Suge was the one who put up Snoop's massive $1 million bail when he was facing those serious charges back in the day? Now here's where things get really interesting. G said something absolutely shocking in a recent Drink Champs interview. According to Warren, on that fateful night when Tupac was attacked, he and Snoop were just hanging out at his place. Warren said he had...
And that's when he went out there when he went to the hospital. But if I wouldn't have talked to him and got him to come over to my house, he probably would have been right there in the car with them.
And that's when he went out there, when he went to the hospital. But if I would have talked to him and got him to come over to my house, he probably would have been right there in the car with them.
I'm not even going to go there and get on Snoop's situation. Because everybody know how tight him and Puffy is. Everybody know he's going to lie and say what he's going to say. But nothing happened. You know, like I said, Pac up there had an understanding of what he's going to happen. Now, fast forward, he back at the hotel. And, you know, everybody got their rooms, and I would have a special room that only person who knew that room number is Pac. So I'm in there, and I got my company, a few of those, you know, women in there. And I just banging at the door. Throw my boxers on, open the door up. Pac just runs in my room. I'm like, man, what's up? He like, you got a radio? And, you know, he all pumped up. He cut the radio on, and we listened to Snoop on the radio. Snoop is, you know, saying that's Pac on the bush. He'll do a song with Biggie, he'll do a song with Puffy, he'll do all these.
The implications are absolutely mind-blowing. It seemed like Snoop might have had inside information about the devastating plans for Pac, knowing exactly when and where it was all going to go down. But hold on to your seats because Suge wasn't done exposing Snoop. He just dropped even more explosive revelations in his latest interview with Art of Dialogue. Here's what's really fascinating. Fans have noticed something very telling about Suge's story regarding Snoop's betrayal. It hasn't changed one bit since day one. Suge is still telling the exact same story now that he told back then. In this latest explosive interview, Suge revealed that Pac already had his suspicions about Snoop's shady behavior, and it deeply troubled him. Suge explained that the first major falling out between Snoop and Pac happened after Pac heard something absolutely shocking. Snoop on the radio praising Diddy and Biggie. Can you believe it? Snoop was allegedly throwing shade at Pac, claiming he had no issues working with Biggie and Puffy.
Pac was so mad because Pac loved those dudes. He always would ride for them. And he brought it up. He said, man, I just came to put you, but I put everybody on death row. I put everybody on my album. And made sure they was on my album. And Snoop was doing a video in New York called New York, New York. And one of the bad boy dudes was on the radio station talking about they distance, let's get them. So they went over there and they trailer got shot up. When they trailer got shot up, they called the studio. Me and Pac was in the studio. We got them on speaker. And they said they trailer got shot up. We sent some homies out there who was already out there to make sure they was good. When we hung the phone, Pac started everybody in the room. You know, it's engineers, it's producers, you know, runners. And Pac went around the room. Where you from? Somebody said, okay, I'm from England. Are you good? where you from? And each person that said they was from the East Coast, Pac fired this shit up. You know, he fired on them. They just tried to kill the homies. Smack! He go to the next person. Where you from? They was from the East Coast. He fired on them. They just tried to kill the homies. So Pac brought that up. He said when they tried to, you know, when Biggie and them tried to shot their trailer up, he was like, man, you see me beat everybody up from the East Coast in the studio. He said, I get on the front line for them. For this fool to go up there and get on the radio and say, F me, and he rhyme with them, it's on. So I'm thinking like...
According to Suge, this betrayal made Pac absolutely furious. After all the love and loyalty Pac had shown Snoop, here he was, going behind his back and dining with the enemy. From that moment on, Pac declared it was on site with Snoop.
Every night before I completely turn in, you know, I had a rule. I always had to call my mother, and my mother know I made it. And I would hit Pac, and I would hit Snoop. You good? Yep. You good? Yep. That's it. That means everybody's straight. Now, either I'm going to sleep, I'm having fun, right? So both of these artists was more than just artists to me. It was family to me. So when we got, you know, downstairs, Pac took off on Snoop. Pac ran up on him, did what he did. Snoop ran this way, Pac running behind him. I stopped it. We ain't finna be doing all this in New York, making us all look like we some idiots.
The tension between Pac and Snoop reached such explosive levels that Suge had to step in as a peacekeeper. He would call them both every single day, trying to gauge their emotions and maintain some kind of peace. But despite Suge's best efforts, Snoop and Pac nearly came to violent blows when they encountered each other.
We used to call the studio the Red Room. So whatever problem it is, we go in the studio and anybody fight, they fight. Once people walk out that door, it's over. So I told both of them that. I told Snoop, come get in the car, we gotta go to the airport. Not the airport, but you know, we had a private plane, still an airport. Snoop refused to ride with Pac. Pac is crazy. Snoop rode in the van with the luggage, because we had a van to carry all the luggage, and everybody else was in limos. When we got to the private plane, I tell Pac, save the place for all this. Let's just get to the house and y'all have that conversation later. But Snoop never got on the plane and grabbed no fork or no knife and came by Pac and banged on him and all that type of stuff. Never happened. Pac can call every person out pretty much on death row. Not none of the homies and definitely not me, for his artists. And they all know they turned it down. And Pac then fired on a couple of them. And they know they turned it down. But you know, even though Snoop on this journey full of lies, I'm not here to drag him in the mud.
Now here's where the story takes another shocking turn. After that intense confrontation, Suge tried to get them both to hash out their differences at the Death Row studio back in California. But in a telling move, Snoop flat out refused to even ride in the same car as Pac, and they took separate flights home. This is particularly interesting because it completely contradicts Snoop's version of events. He had claimed they were on the same flight, and he even had to carry a fork and knife for protection. But wait, there's more. Suge dropped another bomb. Everyone was completely shocked when Snoop was a no-show at the after-party following the Mike Tyson fight. This was huge because everyone was supposed to be there. Suge heavily implied something absolutely chilling. The reason for Snoop's absence might have been because he already knew about the tragic events that were about to unfold, and he didn't want to be anywhere near the scene.
Your first name was Snoopy Dooper. You're not Death Row. And, most importantly, I heard y'all talking about Tupac when none of y'all with Tupac. Mike definitely don't know Tupac. Got nothing to do with Tupac. Snoop, we got the receipts. How you felt about the homie. That's where the problem is at. So I'm quite sure everything's a little tight right now because everybody know the truth coming out.
So the burning question remains, is Snoop lying? And if he is, what earth-shattering secret is he trying to keep hidden? Well, according to Suge, the answer is devastatingly simple. Snoop was consumed with jealousy of Pac, so he had to eliminate him. Now, here's the most explosive development of all. According to inside sources, federal investigators have uncovered shocking new evidence that proves Snoop knew far more about Pac's death than he's ever admitted. The allegations are absolutely devastating. He may have been feeding Diddy crucial information about Death Row's movements, which helped them plan the perfect moment to strike. But what do you think? Did Snoop really betray Tupac in such a devastating way? And if he did, was it to save himself? Or was he under some kind of threat? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't miss our next explosive video.